California Spangle.
California Spangle's in front, and California Spangle won the Classic Cup.
Well, welcome along to these BMW Hong Kong Derby feature interviews for the 2022 race, culminating the four-year-old Classic Series here in Hong Kong. A super race it is as well, one with a very rich history indeed. And through this morning and into this afternoon, we'll be chatting to some of the leading contenders and some of the main protagonists with runners in this year's Derby. It gives me great pleasure to welcome in, first and foremost, Tony Cruz and Zach Purton, the connections of California Spangle, who join us on the line now. Gents, many thanks for taking the time to chat to us here this morning. And Tony, if I could first come to you, many thanks for being here with us this morning. California Spangle, he come through the Classic Cup in great style. How has the horse been since that big win in the second leg?
Well, since he pulled up after the Classic Cup, I'm very happy with him. He's very sound. Leading up to this race, his final gallop, everything, I'm very happy with the horse.
And just on the type of horse he is, Tony, obviously there's been a lot made about him. He was a very precocious Griffin horse. Did you always think in your mind that he could wind up in a Hong Kong Derby quite possibly, or did you just not know where the ceiling of his ability and his form would take him?
Well, to be honest, I don't think he was a Derby horse. You know, I thought he was, on his debut, you know, he come out and run the Griffin race in the record time. And I thought he was a good sprinter. Then I thought with his pedigree, he's got high chaparral on the bottom line. He could be on the, then he got a sprinting with the staying side. So maybe I'll guess it's a good sprinter miler. But then I was hesitant about the Derby really, until let's see how he performs himself in the Classic Mile, which he got beat. Then we had to gamble on the Classic Cup, then he won. Then there's no way out of this game. I think we go straight for the Derby, you know.
Absolutely, and you're a man, Tony. Obviously, you're ingrained in Hong Kong racing tradition. The name Tony Cruz resonates almost everywhere around the world when we chat about racing here in Hong Kong. You've got a great association with this race. You won it 3 times as a rider. You won it twice as a trainer. Just going back to some of those, obviously those 2 victories. You've got Lucky Owners in 2004 and Helene Mascot in 2008. Does this horse, is he in any way similar to those horses? Obviously, you know what it takes to win this race.
Well, definitely not the same type of horse, for sure. You know, for California Spangle, he's got so much speed. For Lucky Owners and Helene Mascot, no speed at all. You know, and then I figured it out. Those 2 horses that I used to train that won the Derby, in the pedigree, they can stay. It's all written there. So, in those days, were 1,800 meters for the Derby. Just every horse can run that distance almost, you know. There's no worrying about the distance. But now today, with this horse, it's particularly really different type of horse. I still think he's a miler, sprinter miler to me. But there again, we'll see how he goes in the Derby already. You know, I haven't just really decided where to go from after the Derby. Unless he wins the Derby, then I know he'll be running middle distance races, you know, like a mile to 2,000 meters. But he ain't no stayer, that's for sure.
No, it's interesting you say that, and I'll come to you, Zach, very shortly regarding obviously where this horse is drawn. But Tony, just your take on barrier number 10. I mean, Lucky Owners came from that gate to win the race for you previously. Just your first impression. We've had the barrier drawn now from gate number 10. How do you see the race sort of panning out from that barrier?
For California Spangle, I think he's got that early speed. I think he was sure to go to the front and lead the race again. There's no other horses that got the speed that can take him on or faster than him, so to speak. I think he would just do the same thing as he's been doing all this time. Go to the front, lead the race, and try and dictate it.
Interesting indeed. I mean, obviously, Zach, as we come to you, many thanks for joining us here as well. Regarding California Spangle, just on that, Zach, gate number 10, obviously, you went on record last time when we spoke to you after the Classic Cup as saying that, you know, barriers will play their part. we've now got the barriers. What's your take on gate number 10? I guess you probably would have preferred slightly inside, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure. I don't think 10's a great barrier for us at all. Unfortunately, we have a number of speed runners drawn inside us that will no doubt want to try and hold their positions. And Derby, everyone gets a little bit of a rush of blood, and they probably are a little bit more positive early than maybe otherwise they would be. But, you know, our horse has got an established racing pattern, so we have to use his speed, and hopefully we can get across without making too much use of him.
Zach, you've made no secret of the sort of the affection you hold this horse in. Every time we spoke to you after he'd won, it was always with glowing terms and a bit of a twinkle in your eye. A very classy horse. If I could take you back to 2015, Luger, you've already won a Derby. How important is it, this race, for you as a jockey to sort of tick off the Derby? You've done it once. I imagine doing it a second time would mean so much more, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. You know, the slogan is correct. It's a once-in-a-lifetime glory and opportunity for these horses. They're only four once in their life, and they only get one throw of the dice at it. It's very hard to get on the right horse at the right time. And although I'm not convinced that I have the best 2,000-metre horse in the race, I do believe I've got the best horse in the race. He's a super talented horse. He's done nothing wrong right from the first time he stepped on the racetrack. Even in those Griffin races, the first two starts he had last season, he ran class records in both those races. He was slow out of the gates both times. He missed the start a length and a half to 2 lengths, quickly rounded them up, got to the front, did some things wrong. He was running around and still run 2 class records. So that in itself told you how talented he was right from the start. To get from where he was there to where he is today, he's come a long way in a short period of time, and now he's a pleasure to ride. You know, apart from getting a little bit on his toes pre-race and behind the gates, you'll see him jig-jogging a little bit. But once he gets into the gates, he's a real professional. He stands really well. He begins brilliantly now. He's worked that out. He's actually a really intelligent horse. And once he learns to do something, he knows what he's doing, and he gives me a lot of confidence riding him. So I just got to hope that, you know, the other riders ride their horses sensibly to give their horses a chance to win the race and be competitive as well. My horse is not a sit and sprint type horse. He likes to get into his rhythm and roll along. As I've touched on, he was inside a standard for the first 1,200 metres last start. So it's not as if he was going slow, as everyone initially thought when they were watching the race. He was actually going at a nice speed which suited every horse, and he's going to do the same thing again. So, you know, the 8 course, sometimes the fence can be off as well. So we've got a lot of things to deal with. And if he can pull it off, it's going to be a monumental performance. But, you know, hopefully he can.
Indeed, obviously, as you say, he is very much a class act in the race. If I could just take you back to 2015, Zach, obviously with Luger, there was great scenes. Obviously, you won the race. You obviously celebrated, you know, naturally after crossing the post. I looked back on it this morning, and there was a fist pump. You and Ty England obviously celebrating there. And just on that win, what were the emotions for you on that occasion, winning a Derby on Luger? I mean, he was obviously a smart horse, and since then you've been placed a few times, but haven't managed to get that second win.
Yeah, well, he was a bit of a different one because he was a late pickup ride at the last minute. Douglas had to decide over 2 horses, and he went another way, and I was fortunate to pick up the ride there. But I drew an awkward gate that time, and I was caught wide all the way. It was probably my worst ride out of all the rides I've had in the Derby, and it's the one that won it for me. But it's been frustrating ever since. I haven't really been on the right horse. I've given the horses some brilliant rides, but they just keep running into a horse that's a bit better than them on the day. And it may be the case again this year from that awkward gate. But, you know, it's a race everyone wants to win for a reason. It's so hard to do it. You know, hopefully my horse turns up. You know, Tony's got a great knack of producing his horses in these big races in really good order. They tend to take that next step and produce when need be. So anytime I ride a horse for Tony in one of these races, I always go in with a large deal of confidence, and we're going to go there, you know, hoping we can get it done again.
Most definitely, and we wish you well with that. Tony, if I could just come back to you, and obviously you've won this race both as a trainer and a jockey. Just on the perspective for the owners, now this horse carries what are famous colours in Hong Kong racing history. California Memory was a wonderful horse who carried them. What would it mean to you and the connections to win this race? I mean, the owners have obviously put plenty of faith in you. They've sent you this horse, and I guess to win a Derby for them would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Can tell the story. The Californians, the Professor Thomas Liang, and now his son Howard Liang, they have supported me throughout the years, going back 40 years ago. As a jockey, when I was riding, I used to ride all the California horses, were trained by Wong Tan Ping, and till today they've been buying horses and they've been supporting me as a trainer ever since I started training. And they had a good horse called California Memory, which is retired. About time they have a horse called the California Spangle to win the Derby. I'm sure Howard is longing for a Derby win because he's owned and bought so many horses throughout his years and supported me. And I wish this horse could win for him.
Well, we certainly wish everybody involved with the horse very well. I believe we've got some questions from some of our media partners. And first off, I'd like to come to Alan Aitken, who has joined us on this Zoom call. Alan, good morning to you. I believe you've got a question or two for the connections of California Spangle.
Yeah, morning all. Seems a big team on this. But first of all, before I ask a question, I've got a little bit of history for you. The last time any horse led all the way in the Hong Kong Derby, Tony Cruz rode the beaten favourite. That was 1989. Since then, the race moving horse led all the way in the Hong Kong Derby. Tony Cruz rode the beaten favourite. That was 1989. Since then, to 2,000 metres in the year 2000. So we have 33 years of the Derby without a winner leading throughout. Just something to think about with California Spangle. But to actually frame a question, probably this is for Zach more than anyone. We know that California Spangle's got the speed to cross. He could lead the 1,200 metre class 2 on Sunday if he was in that. But how different for a jockey is it going from the 1,800 metres where you've got 1,000 metres before the first turn to the 2,000 metres where you've got about 80 metres to the first turn. And in the Classic Cup, you were able to cuddle him a little bit down the back and make your way over steadily. You've really got to get out and go from the 2,000, haven't you?
Yeah, everything you say is correct. It's a completely different race for us this time. As you mentioned, in the 1,800, I knew that he had that natural gate speed to be able to lead, so I was never in any hurry out of the gate to get myself across to get a position because I knew I'd just take my time doing it. And he jumped sort of 2 lengths in front anyway and just cruised across as I expected him to do. But from the 2,000 metre start, I've really got to be aggressive and press him out of the gate to clear the runners on my inside. And I expect a couple of those runners to try and kick up and make it hard for me because that's just what they do. And when you're on a horse that's suspect at the distance, that could bring us undone. And as you said, it's very hard to lead all the way in Derby. I hope the other jockeys are listening to that and don't try and go out there and take it up themselves because it hasn't been done.
So your job, Zach, really is not to not lead, but to contain the horse's speed like you did in the Classic Cup.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. First and foremost, I've got to get a position, don't I? So I need to be aggressive and I need to get across. And once I get across, then I've got to hope that he relaxes. One of the other benefits about the 1,800 from the barrier I come out of, my job was just to try and get him to relax as early as I could, and I was able to do that. But if I fire him out of the gate from 10 at this start to get across, maybe it gives him that signal that it's time to go, and he might see that corner thinking he's in a 1,200 metre race. So, there are a lot of alarm bells there. It can or it could go horribly bad for us. And, it's when you're playing with fire, you sometimes get burnt. The draw, it's a horrible draw for us. But it is what it is.
I just got one more question, and it's for Tony. One of the horses drawn inside California Spangle on Sunday with some speed is your other runner. I'm a single man. Blinkers off this time. Is that a signal that maybe he'll be ridden more conservatively?
That's for sure. On the Classic Cup with the blinkers on, he couldn't settle in behind. The blinkers off this time, expecting him to settle and relax in behind. I believe he'll be coming from behind this horse in the race.
Okay.
This time he's got it. I believe he can run the 2,000 meters too.
So that changes the map a little bit for Zach in the early stages if there's one less horse under him holding a position.
That's right. The other one drawn on the inside, Champion Dragon. I think he'll be following California Spangle.
Box seat. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan, for your input there for the connections of California Spangle. We've also got a question here from Henry of the Oriental Daily for you, Zach, and it again, just reiterates Alan's question, really. He asks, are you worried, and to what level with the outside draw, might there be a bit of tactical riding from the beginning of the race, and how do you tackle the challenge from the outside? That's from Henry in the Oriental Daily.
Yeah, like every race, you go into it with a plan, as every other jockey will as well, and no doubt they're going to make it difficult for me. And like I said, it's a derby. You see it every year. Jockeys try and ride their horses out of position just because it's a big race, and it's quite often detrimental to their chances, and it'll be detrimental to mine as well. But like I've also said, I have to get a position as quick as I can, and to do that, I need to make use of my horse. It's as simple as that. How much work I have to do in the first part of the race is certainly going to tell the tale in the end.
It certainly can, and as obviously Alan touched upon there, a very short run into that first turn. I'm not sure we've got any more questions from our media partners. I think we certainly look forward to Sunday. We wish you the very best of luck, Tony and Zach, and hopefully with a bit of luck we'll see you in the winner's circle.